Nissan builds a car for the person who wants the cheapest thing with a warranty, and a car for the person who wants to embarrass supercars. Somehow, both of them are in the same showroom. You are on this list whether you like it or not. Number 1 owns the car that explains every other person here. Number 14, the Versa owner. Let's start at the bottom of the price list because this owner is more interesting than anybody gives them credit for. The Versa exists for one reason. It is consistently among the cheapest new cars you can buy in North America with a full factory warranty, and that combination is the entire pitch. Worth noting how rare that actually is. Almost every other vehicle in this video was chosen partly for how it looks parked outside a house. This one was chosen on arithmetic alone, which makes this owner the most honest person here. So this owner did something most car buyers never do. They worked out what a car actually needs to do, ignored everything else, and refused to pay for any of it. No badge, no trim level, no options box ticked because it might help resale. You can spot them by what is missing. There is no aftermarket anything. The wheels are the ones it came with. The interior is gray plastic and they have made peace with it. There is a second thing worth noticing about this owner. They are the only person in this video who never has to justify their choice financially because the numbers do that on their own. Everybody else on this list has a version of the sentence, but it holds its value, or, but it will last forever. And here's the part nobody says out loud. This owner will spend less on transport over 10 years than almost everybody else in this video, and they knew that when they signed. Same buyer, 5 years later, wanting a higher seat. Number 13, the Kicks owner. This is the Versa owner who went shopping 5 years later, when every buyer on Earth had decided they wanted a higher seat. The Kicks is a small crossover with front-wheel drive only, which purists treat as a scandal, and which this owner correctly identified as irrelevant. They were never going off-road. They wanted to see over the traffic. What makes this owner smart is what they avoided. No all-wheel drive system to service, no transfer case, no extra drive shaft, and a simpler drivetrain than almost anything else in the segment. They will tell you the fuel economy figure without being asked. They know it to one decimal place. It comes up in conversations that were not about cars. They also tend to be the person in a friend group who quietly worked out that a car payment is the second biggest bill most households have, and then refused to make it any bigger than it needed to be. Every complaint made about this vehicle is a complaint about something it never claimed to be, and the owner figured that out before the reviewers did. One owner plugged theirs in before anybody thought that was normal. Number 12, the Leaf owner. This person bought an electric car when doing so required explaining yourself at every family gathering. The Leaf was one of the first mass-market electric cars anybody actually sold in volume, and the early owners took on all of the inconvenience so that later buyers would not have to. You can identify them by their relationship with numbers. They know their real-world range in winter, in summer, and on the motorway, and those are 3 different figures they will give you unprompted. They also have opinions about charging etiquette that they hold more strongly than most people hold political views. Leaving a car parked at a charger after it is finished is, to this owner, a moral failure. Early adopters also carry something the rest of us benefit from without noticing. Every problem they found, every charging network gap they mapped, and every winter range disappointment they logged became the reason later electric cars arrived with those things already solved. What they do not do is pretend it was perfect. Ask about battery degradation on the early cars and you get an honest answer, because this owner has nothing left to prove. Statistically, the next person is the most common one here. Number 11, the Rogue owner. The Rogue is one of the best-selling vehicles Nissan makes, which means statistically, this is the most common person in this video. And that is exactly the point. This owner did not want a statement. They wanted a vehicle that fits a family, has a boot that swallows a pushchair, and does not require any thought on a Tuesday morning. They chose it in the most sensible color available: gray, white, or a black that is technically called something else in the brochure. Here is what they should know though, and it is the one piece of real advice in this chapter. This is the vehicle where the continuously variable transmission matters most, because it is the one doing school runs and short trips in traffic. Fluid every 25,000 to 30,000 miles, drain and fill, never a flush. It is worth knowing that this was serious enough to reach the courts. Nissan extended warranty coverage on transmission components for certain model years and settled class actions over these gearboxes, which is not something manufacturers do about a minor inconvenience. A rogue owner who does that gets a completely different ownership experience from one who believes the lifetime fluid label. Same vehicle, same year, two entirely different outcomes. If you found this already video helpful, you'll definitely enjoy my ebook. You can get it through the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on the screen. The limited time offer ends soon, so don't miss out. And don't forget to subscribe. Number 10. The Sentra owner. This is somebody's first proper car, and you can tell within about 4 seconds of looking at it. The Sentra sits in that specific place in the range where it is grown up enough to arrive at a job interview in, and cheap enough that a first salary can carry the payments. What gives them away is the effort. There is a phone mount that took genuine research. The interior is clean in a way that will not survive year 3. There may be a small badge on the back that did not come from the factory. You will also notice they know things. This owner has read the entire manual, because it is the first vehicle they have ever been responsible for, and they are taking it seriously. They are also the most likely person here to be genuinely proud of the car, and that is worth protecting. Somebody who has just bought their first vehicle does not need to hear that they should have bought something else. Give this one 5 years, and they turn into half the other owners on this list. Everybody starts somewhere, and a surprising number of people start here. Then there is the person who chose the divisive one. Number 9. The Juke owner. Somebody had to buy the Juke, and the people who did are a very specific kind of person. Nissan built a small crossover that looked like nothing else on the road, with headlights in places headlights had never been, and the market split immediately into people who laughed and people who bought one. This owner is in the second group, and crucially, they know about the first group. They are not unaware that it is divisive. They found that funny and paid money anyway, which makes them the most confident person in this entire video. Everybody else on this list bought a car that other people approve of. This one did not care. There is a wider point hiding in this chapter. Cars that divide opinion tend to hold their character over time, while cars designed to offend nobody blur into each other after a decade. In 20 years, people will still recognize this one. Worth knowing if you are shopping for a used one. The 1.6-liter turbocharged engine in these has a documented timing chain issue that can appear early, so a cold start rattle is the thing to listen for rather than the styling. 15 years with the same truck, and counting. Number 8. The Frontier owner. This person does not appear to have bought a vehicle so much as adopted one. The Frontier ran essentially unchanged for an extraordinarily long time, and that turned out to be exactly what its buyers wanted. No touchscreen redesign, no new platform, no clever transmission. You will find these owners have had the same truck since a previous decade, and they will tell you the mileage the way other people tell you their children's ages. There is a thing to check on the older ones, and it has a name in the community. The strawberry milkshake of death, where the radiator's internal transmission cooler cracks and pushes coolant into the gearbox. It affects the 2005 to 2010 trucks, and it costs about $5,000. What makes this owner unusual is that they treat a truck as a tool rather than as a statement. The paint has scratches that came from work. The bedliner has done actual work. Nothing about it is decorative. Owners who know about it fit an external cooler and bypass the radiator entirely. Owners who do not know about it find out all at once. Mud on the roof rack, same underpinnings. Number 7. The Xterra owner. Same underpinnings as the Frontier, completely different personality, and a genuinely different owner. The Xterra was built when Nissan still made a boxy, body-on-frame, unapologetically utilitarian thing with a roof rack that had its own basket. It was never trying to be comfortable. This owner has photographs of it somewhere it should not have been. There is dried mud in a place they have stopped trying to clean. The rear window is a scrapbook. What they will tell you, correctly, is that nobody makes this anymore. Everything that replaced it in the market is a crossover with plastic cladding pretending to be capable. Ask this owner what they would replace it with, and you get a long pause. That pause is the whole story of what happened to this segment, and it is why they are still driving something that went out of production years ago. Which is why used prices on clean ones have held up in a way that surprises people who were not paying attention. Scarcity and genuine capability are a rare combination. buying a full-size truck without choosing Ford or Chevrolet. Number 6. The Titan owner. Buying a full-size truck in North America and not choosing Ford, Chevrolet, or Ram is a decision that requires explaining, and this owner is ready for it. They will tell you what they got for the money, and the list is usually longer than what the equivalent domestic truck offered at the same price. They are also, quietly, tired of being asked. Every conversation about their truck starts with somebody expressing surprise, and they have a rehearsed answer. There is one version worth knowing about specifically. The Titan XD with the Cummins diesel is the only Nissan in North America where the diesel delete conversation ever comes up, and that is a Clean Air Act violation that the Environmental Protection Agency has fined individual owners for. Underneath the defensiveness, this owner made a straightforward calculation. They compared what each truck offered at the price they could actually pay, ignored the badge, and picked the winner on paper. That is a more rational purchase than most people in this video made. So if somebody offers you a used one with the emissions equipment removed, you are being offered a vehicle that fails inspection and carries a legal risk that transfers to you. 7 seats change the entire buying process. Number 5. The Pathfinder and Armada owner. This is the person who counted the seats before they looked at anything else. 3 rows changes the entire buying process. Suddenly, the question is not what you want to drive. It is whether everybody fits and whether there is still boot space behind the 3rd row when they do. You can spot this owner by the interior. There is a system in there, bags in specific places, something for the middle row, and a level of organization that only exists in a vehicle that regularly carries other people's children. They also know exactly how their vehicle behaves when fully loaded, because that is how it lives. Empty, it feels like a completely different machine, and they find that mildly disorienting. This is also the owner most likely to be running the vehicle in exactly the conditions that generate heat. Loaded, in traffic, on short trips, in summer. Every one of those is on the list of things a belt and pulley transmission likes least. The Pathfinder in particular sits right in the middle of the transmission conversation, so this owner benefits more than most from an auxiliary cooler. A vehicle that is always loaded is a vehicle that is always making heat. Nissan sold the next one as a 4-door sports car. Number 4. The Maxima owner. Nissan marketed the Maxima as a 4-door sports car for years, and this owner believed it completely. The interesting thing is that they were not entirely wrong. The Maxima carried the VQ35DE V6, which is the same engine family that appeared on the Ward's 10 Best Engines list 6 separate times. So this owner has a genuinely good engine in a genuinely comfortable car, and they will explain that to you at a level of detail you did not request. They are also the most likely person in this video to have an opinion about the front-wheel drive question. They have heard it. They have an answer prepared. It involves torque figures. What they are actually describing, without using the words, is an engine with a forged crankshaft and forged connecting rods in a mainstream family car. That is a genuinely unusual specification, and it is the reason these engines reach 250,000 miles. And when they buy the next one, it will be another Maxima, because a person who has found a car that does exactly what they want does not go shopping again. And then, the most discussed driver on American roads. Number 3. The Altima owner. You knew this was coming, and so did every Altima owner watching. The Altima has become the most talked about car on American roads for reasons that have almost nothing to do with the vehicle itself. It sells in enormous numbers, it holds its value poorly, and that combination means an awful lot of them end up as somebody's cheap transport. Which is worth being fair about, because the jokes miss the actual story. A car that is affordable to a huge number of people is doing something useful, and the reputation is a consequence of that reach rather than a flaw in the engineering. The real advice for this owner is the same as for the Rogue, and it matters more here than any joke. The transmission fluid is not lifetime, and owners who change it every 25,000 to 30,000 miles are the ones still driving these at 200,000. The other thing worth saying is that a car being everywhere is a form of success. Millions of people needed reliable transport at a price they could actually reach, and this is the vehicle that answered. The jokes are a side effect of scale, not a verdict on the engineering. Nissan extended warranty coverage and settled class actions over these transmissions. If you own one, checking whether your vehicle identification number qualifies takes 2 minutes and can cover a repair you have already paid for. Rear-wheel drive, a V6, and a very long modification list. Number 2, the 350Z and 370Z owner. Now we are into the half of Nissan that exists because somebody at the company refused to be sensible. The Z cars gave enthusiasts a rear-wheel drive coupe with the VQ V6 at a price that put a genuine sports car within reach of people who were not wealthy. That is a rarer thing than it sounds. This owner will tell you what they have done to it. The list is chronological, and there is a reason for each item. They can also tell you what it cost, though they may round down slightly.
What is genuinely true is that they know this platform properly. Ask them about bore scoring, oil consumption, or which model years to avoid, and you get an accurate answer. Because this community has documented everything. There is a reason this community documents everything so obsessively. The people who buy these cars generally cannot afford to be wrong about them, so they research before they spend, and the shared knowledge that produces is worth more than any warranty. They are also the group most likely to still own the car in 15 years, because at some point it stopped being a car they bought and became a car they kept. Which leaves the car that humiliated Porsche. Number 1, the GTR owner. Everything else in this video makes sense as a business. This one does not, and that is the point. Nissan built a car that embarrassed vehicles costing 3 times as much, with a hand-built twin-turbocharged V6 and a launch system that made the driver almost irrelevant to the first 4 seconds. It earned the nickname Godzilla, honestly. This owner knows the running costs and quotes them without flinching. Servicing, tires, and transmission work on this car sit at a level that surprises people who bought it on the used market thinking they had found a bargain. They have also had the conversation about whether it is a real supercar more times than they would like, and they have stopped arguing. The timing sheets did the arguing years ago, but here is why this owner belongs at number 1 rather than somewhere in the middle. Every other person in this video is buying from the same company that decided to build this. The Versa owner and the GTR owner are funding the same engineering department. That is what actually connects everybody on this list. Not the badge and not the price. A manufacturer that will sell you the cheapest new car in the country and the thing that humiliated Porsche in the same financial year, and treat both of those as normal.